All right, hey, so welcome to the Flyte Community Sync. Today is Tuesday, June 14th. It's not as hot in Seattle as it is in Austin, so I think we can say this for sure. But we have a packed calendar, a packed agenda. My name is Martin Stein, I'm your host, and let's take a quick look at the agenda. Sandra, can you? Thanks. So we have community highlights. We added a new segment called Ecosystem Projects. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to have Union's Niels speak about UnionML. We're going to talk about the roadmap, and we have two presentations, actually one demo and one presentation today, which I absolutely look forward to. There's a JavaScript SDK presentation from Matthew, and then from our own Eduardo, we see Flyte. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So let's kick it off with the community highlights. And we're going to start with a new segment in the community highlights. It's called Get to Know Your Contributor, and also your new Slack member here on the channel. So we have two new members to the Flyte community. There's George and there's Mihai. Let's introduce George. So that's going to be if George is here, George, I think he is here, I hope so. So George, why don't you tell us who you are and what got you here to the Flyte community and what you're looking to get out of that community here. So please.
Oh, thanks, Matt, for the introduction. I'm George. My other name is Steve George, as you can see in the Zoom section. So yeah, so I have a background in vet practice, but currently I'm shifting to molecular medicine. So I'm currently studying molecular biology at master's level, and I'm much more invested in bioinformatics, in solving biological problems using coding skills, basically Python. So currently, I am an ambassador to the Latch Bio. Latch Bio is a system built on Flyte, and it's my first introduction to knowing about Flyte and how the Flyte works. And because we use the Flyte syntax to code for the tools that we upload at the Latch Bio SDK, then I had to learn how Flyte works for me to work well with the Latch Bio. So besides working with the Latch Bio, my major interest in knowing about Flyte is because I want to build some tools beyond Latch Bio, tools that does not depend on the Latch Bio syntax. I'm looking at tools that focuses solely on the Flyte syntax. I've read quite a lot about the Flyte documentation, and I've understood how the workflows are being constructed, and I can see it's a pretty much simple syntax to use, and I think I can write good workflows using the system. Although I'm also interested in Nextflow, but Nextflow doesn't use Flyte. Yeah, so that's me in general.
Great, fantastic. So thanks a lot, George. So we'll look forward to see your feedback in the Slack community channel, and obviously see tools being built upon Flyte. That's going to be fantastic. So great, thanks a lot for joining us. So let's say hi to Mihai. Mihai, please introduce yourself and tell us what got you join the Flyte community.
Sure, and thank you for having me. My name is Mihai Todor, and I'm a principal software engineer at Optum, which is part of United Health, the big health insurance consortium. And my background is software engineering, so I've been at this for close to 15 years now. I work on data streaming, all things Kubernetes. Bentos is an open source Go project that I contribute to and use it for my work. It lets you read data, stream it through a pipeline, manipulate it, transform it however you please, and then emit it. And then, like things like monitoring, hosts of infrastructure, cloud, and on-prem, etc. So this is kind of my day-to-day work. But I do have an ambition of getting into bioinformatics, and I would like to learn as much as possible about immunotherapy for cancer treatment, aging, epigenetics. These are topics of high interest to me. I found Flyte, and I think, not sure if I was introduced to it through Latch Bio or I also saw it in other places as well, but I would like to learn more about it and see if there's any opportunity to contribute to it. I'm an open source contributor. I'm happy to weigh in my Go experience and try to help in any way. That could be a good way of meeting other people in the bioinformatics space, since I see that Latch Bio exists, and also Flyte seems to be a good alternative to Nextflow, which, yeah, to me it's kind of hard to work with because it's like groovy and I can't if it's JVM, I don't want to touch it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic to have you. So I think it's pretty interesting. And I feel like the group in bioinformatics is a really solid and strong group. So we might have to do one special session for just bioinformatics. If there's enough interest, we should set something up and maybe do a group meeting, maybe even in person at some point, but virtual first for just that topic. So I think that might be a good story.
Yeah, so Martin, about that, I also wanted to see if we should do like SIGs, like the Kubernetes style, so that we basically have like specific focus areas and breakouts within that focus area. Because we have like so varied set of people. I'm sure if bioinformatics folks would be like, oh, what are we talking about in imaging and in autonomous vehicles and so on. But I think we should break it out so that people who are interested can get to know more of them within the community. So it'll be awesome.
I think that's great. Let's discuss it in the Slack channel. Maybe we can start a conversation here with the team, with the community, and then make decisions of that. I think that would be fantastic. Great, awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Mihai. And let's go to the next one. So blogs. So there was quite a lot of activity. So we had our own Samita write a blog post for the MLOps community. It's titled "The Conversions of Workflows Between Machine Learning and Engineering." Super interesting topic. We always feel that MLOps is kind of like the combination of machine learning, DevOps, and data engineering. Samita, so tell us, if we all know this, why it's still so difficult. Why do we still talk about the convergence? Why is that a topic? Not sure if Samita is here. So if she's not here, then actually the answer is in the blog post. So I think that's a great blog post she wrote. Take a look at this. It's on the MLOps community. We have it here on the slide deck. We're going to share it also with a newsletter update, so you find the link. Now I'm just going to be careful and ask if David is here. David, are you joining us today?
No, David is in the Japanese time zone, so I don't think he will be.
Okay. So if David is not here, so David has written a fantastic blog post about pipelines, Flyte versus Kubeflow. I think this is a really, really good blog post to take a look at. It's really about ask a few questions about if Flyte is a tool you should be interested. So it's really more for people who haven't really considered Flyte and actually are more aware of Kubeflow. And I think that is a very, very important comparison to make. And there's a lot of good talking points in there. And so we want to take the story further forward, and we want to make sure that David can join us in the community and actually get more information out to people who don't know about Flyte. So I think this is a really important article about it. Okay, link is in there too. Office hours. So we have our standard office hours. I'm not going to say too much, but we have Haitham, Katrina, and Kathan being available for you. Let me just ask real quick, Kathan, is your late night MLOps office hour packed, or do you want to see more people? What's the status on your side there?
So I think it used to be way more packed. Recently, I haven't seen that many people. There's one or two, like maybe folks in Japan or so on, show up. So I was actually considering if the timing is right or no. If usually folks from Gojek or somebody else joins, but it's not been packed for the last couple of times. But I'm sure the other ones have been so.
So Katrina, I'm not sure if you're here, but how about yours? Is that packed?
There's a few people that drop by. So if you're in a US time zone, come on over. But, yeah.
All right. So I think it's a call to action to join Haytham's, Katrina's, and Kathan's office hours. I think it's always interesting when I'm in the office and I hear the conversations. I feel like this is something that everybody could and should take advantage of. It's really cool to get so close to and see what you're doing and getting insights and help and tips and tricks. I think it's awesome. All right. With that, let's talk about the next upcoming sync. So we have Robert Everson from Lyft talk about added ARM support. So that's still in the works, I think, and probably it's gonna be out there available in July, I think. I spoke with Robert a week or 2 weeks ago, so I think it's going to be a very, very interesting topic to see. If there's other topics, other Flyte activities the community wants to share, please hit me up on Slack, and we're going to add you. We're going to chat with you real quick, and we see if we do a demo, if we do a presentation. I think it's really cool to share your work. And even if you're just at the very beginning, you don't have a result, anything, say, hey, look, this is where I'm at right now, and that's what I want to do. We would be very happy to share that work. So just hit me up on Slack. The other stuff, calendar invite, YouTube, I'm not going to talk about this. You see this, you know this. Let's move forward and talk about the ecosystem projects. So we basically started this section ecosystem to showcase solutions built on Flyte. So we had already one, which was the tower, the project. Keithan, you presented this, I think, back in time with who was it who did the demo?
Jeev.
Yeah,
it was Jeev from Freenome. Yeah,
that was pretty cool. And so that was kind of like the first time, I think, we did an ecosystem presentation. And we thought it's a really, really great concept to see what is built on top of Flyte and how can we grow this ecosystem. And so this time we feel like today we're going to introduce and actually talk a little bit about UnionML, not too much. We have spoken about this in the past, but MLOps World was last week, and we had our Union AI engineer Niels there. So Niels, can you just tell us real quick, what UnionML is and where people find more information, and why, most importantly, why they should care?
Hey, Martin, thanks. Just doing a mic check here. Yeah, hi, everyone. I'm Niels. Yeah, so we created UnionML essentially based on feedback from our Flyte users saying, "Hey, I just want to train a model and deploy it for prediction somewhere." And you can do this with Flyte, training your models and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you needed to use other solutions to create some kind of prediction endpoint. And so UnionML really is this interface that tries to unify all the different frameworks for data and ML work. And the tagline is that it's an easy way of building and deploying machine learning microservices. So we're really trying to reframe the process of building machine learning models instead of as data pipelines or graphs, as kind of apps where you implement declaratively and also imperatively certain functional entry points to key pieces of the ML puzzle. So don't want to go too much into this. You can look at the video that's embedded here. You can go to union.ai/UnionML to learn a little bit more about it. And the documentation is unionml.readthedocs.io. There's a bunch of information there. There's also a Slack channel in our Flyte Slack called ecosystem-UnionML. You can check that out there also. Ask questions, let us know if there are any issues there. And yeah, that should be your first entry point into this project. Super excited about what folks will build on top of it. See how you react to really what is maybe a very kind of different syntax that you might be used to.
Awesome, fantastic. And are you looking for more contributors?
Yeah, so this will be TBD, but we are, the short answer is yes. Again, reach out to us on Slack, and if you're down to contribute, we're still shaping up our issues and roadmap. But please do reach out to us there if you are, excited about a certain integration. Maybe as a teaser, we are looking into integrating with other serving solutions like BentoML, Seldon, Kserve. So if that's something that's appealing, do reach out to us. We are going to build out model tuning and experimentation capabilities into UnionML. So as part of the microservices, right, you'll have a training, prediction, and then a tuning microservice.
That's great. Awesome. Very cool. And you also wrote a blog post that's listed here. I think there's at the end of the blog post a table about further integrations you just mentioned. So you can take a look at that table. I feel like that's really interesting to see how we actually get to, on the machine learning side, to an end-to-end service where you have like not only like the pipeline and the model training and but also model serving and also hyperparameter tuning. So I think that altogether, that ecosystem that we can build is actually pretty powerful. So I'm super excited about seeing that. Awesome. Thanks, Nick.
Hey, Martin, I'll add one more thing. So from not purely from a UnionML point of view, but I heard George or Steve talk about things as essentially, this is also a way to build higher level DSLs and languages and SDKs that don't look like the typical workflow syntax. So, UnionML is not only for ML, it's also like a showcase to essentially build arbitrary new SDK that allows you to, that targets more your use cases, right? For example, if it's bioinformatics, maybe you only care about writing shell scripts, so you can create a completely new SDK. So we would recommend look at UnionML, and it shows that how tiny amount of code that you have to write to essentially achieve what it did.
Very, very good point, Keithan. Okay, cool. So that's the Flyte ecosystem project of this sync, UnionML. So let's look at the roadmap, and we have Union's Katrina walk us through, the 2 slides on the Flyte roadmap.
Sure. So 1.0.2 is out. Even though it's only a patch release, there's a ton of bug fixes and features that are part of this, including 10 bug fixes and housekeeping items. Thanks to Nick from Blackshark for adding full interruptible / spot instance support at create execution time. So now you can kind of dynamically choose whether or not to run your execution on spot instances and save money that way. Thanks to Raj for adding in the buff integration for Flyte IDL. And then the console, we have a lot of UI improvements that are part of this release as well too. So some changes on the task details panel. You can now collapse inputs and outputs and also look at different task versions. There's also support now for structured data sets as inputs and outputs. When you launch your workflows, you can render those. And then we also have improvements for retry status for individual map tasks. So hopefully that helps improve debugging there. And you can rerun a single task execution as well too from the console directly. But you can also do that now from Flyte using PyFlyte run as well too. So a variety of different ways to kind of debug individual tasks within your broader workflow, if that's useful to you. So we invite you to check that out. The release is published, and all the latest Helm charts should include that. And then, so our upcoming release, 1.1.0, which we're codenamed Hawk, keeping that Flyte theme going. So Flyte decks, long awaited, we've been talking about this for a while, that'll finally be released. And these are kind of customized visualizations that you can write for your tasks. They can include input or output rendering, anything you want that will embed is kind of like a custom visualization. In addition, we'll have fast registration support coming in Flyte Remote, which should hopefully improve registration time there. And then support for launch plan level matchable attributes. So if you want to set custom task resource overrides, execution metadata, cluster assignments, all that already exists within like project or project domain scopes will now be supported in the launch plan level. Also have asynchronous / human in the loop tasks. So thanks Dan for adding support for that. That'll be really cool to see, and we're excited to see how people end up using that. And then, of course, as always, improvements, bug fixes, housekeeping items, and just focusing on stability of the core platform.
Awesome. Very cool. So that actually is already the keyword Flyte decks. So we have Eduardo here talk and present and do a demo about Flyte decks. Super excited about this. Eduardo, take it away.